another incredible day. Today is very significant again. This is the day before the actual Hari Raya is going to happen tomorrow. And also, the Divine Feminine is also very strong. We are approaching this space now, and it's really incredible that, we can tune in such a way to this divine day. Yes. Okay, so yes, today we have a special guest, an incredible guy, a guy who internalized so much of the teachings and manifesting in every way. And I always enjoy so much Brother Branimil's Sankalpam. His prayers is truly from the heart, and totally always very appreciative of his dedication. There's so much love he puts into this entire unfoldment, and we are very fortunate to have him to share with us this rising of divine feminine, is Devimähätmyam. Brother Branimir, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Okay. Sairam, everyone. I would just like to share my screen. And I think that we are good to go. So I would like to start with 3 ohms and with some invocational prayers. Om Bhur Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sahanav Avatu. May we be protected together. May we be present together here and now. Sahanau Bhunaktu. May we be nourished together. Saha Viryam Karavavahai. May we work together with great vigor. Tejasvi Navadhitam Astu. May our studies shine. Ma Vidvishavahai. May we not hate each other. I offer my sincere, devoted, most humble pranams to my nearest and dearest inner guide, to my Swami, my only father and the mother, my everything. May he guides my thoughts and speak through me and through all of us. I invoked Mother Gayatri because the study of the Vedas begins with Gayatri mantra. It is the omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient force which is beyond the gender, beyond the form, and beyond every structure. And it is of that light, effulgence, bharga, which can burn to ashes any ill will or ill-born thoughts. So let this effulgence, let this light ever guide our thoughts and actions. So dear brothers and sisters, thank you for this opportunity. I'm very honored to be able to speak today to you. And as I said in the morning, somehow this is the rising of feminine third part. And if you would see the month and the week in which we have these sessions, this is very, very, special period of time. Today being Shravana Putrada Ekadashi, and tomorrow there is Shri Varalakshmi Vratam, so a day of boons to experience by Shri Mahalakshmi. So I think that according to God's perfect plan, as always, we are going through those beautiful topics of the rising of Divine Feminine. And at the beginning of this exposition, I would like to dedicate this session to all the women that entered in my life, especially to my mother, who gave birth to this body, who sacrificed everything for the welfare of her children throughout my childhood until this very moment. And at this particular point, I would like to say that we really need to give thanks firstly to our parents, to our mother and our father. This is our ultimate dharma. During the past sessions we have with this group, we actually gone through different contract breakage session, but I think that the connection between the worldly mother and father should never been broken. We need to take care of them until they go from this plane of existence. In the Vedas, it is said, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Deva Bhava. We need to worship our mother and our father as God divine. So we cannot call ourselves a spiritual if we abandon this ultimate duty of ours. However, our parents may appear difficult or may become difficult in a different stage of our lives, we should adhere to them. We should help them, and we should finish the game with full awareness, with full thankfulness, because without them, we would not be able to do all the things we do in our path to God realization. The second woman I would like to dedicate this session is my wife. I think we shared more than 23 years of our life together since our university days. And she was always as well there for me. When I start doing my business, my work, I was never home. Hundreds and hundreds of business trips. So we, she gave birth to two beautiful children. We built a beautiful house, but I was never there. So all the burden of raising the kids and upholding all the four corners of the house was actually on her shoulders. If and when I was not traveling, I was learning the Vedas. I was teaching the Vedas, I was having satsangs, I was organizing numerous events inside organization and with my dear brothers and sisters from Sound of Veda Fellowship and Veda Union. And everything of that would not have been possible without her selfless help. And now, at this time of lockdown, I realized that I really need to balance myself, and it is real and true blessing in my personal life, because I really stopped certain activities and I really started to, realize that, okay, yeah, we have a house, okay, we have a kids, yes. And actually, the number of meals we have had together during the past, let's say, 2 months of the lockdown, I would, usually need, I will not exaggerate, but I would usually need 2 years to have so many meals together with my family. So this also teaches me the balance, which is very important in our spiritual life. We are having our arms and legs in this society. We are playing different roles. We are not in the woods. We are not in the caves because we don't belong there. We are here for the reason, and we play our roles for the reason. So we really need to operate in a way which is called nishkama karma, to actually have all our activities in the world, but having our head soaked in this omnipresent, omniscience, and omnipotent power of divine illumination, and offer to this divine power all the fruits of our activities. This is the path, not only for myself, I would say, I believe that many of you are experiencing the same. And it's not easy, of course, it's not easy. But we hang on together in this beautiful group we have now. So I would just like to start and somehow try to, let's say, connect to those two previous lessons, or let's say satsang with Sister Santya about the rising of divine feminine. And I would like to go back at the dawn of civilization, when actually the mankind, the primordial mankind, I should say, lived in a matriarchal society. And it was then when the worship of the Divine Mother came into practice. So this was the first worship. These were these primordial natural forces, and the worship of Divine Mother was so natural. But later on, as so-called civilization progressed, this matriarchal pattern gradually faded out, and the father became the head of the family, and he started to be treated as the man with authority, and to whom everyone looked for guidance and for approvals. So consequently, there was a change in the concept of God as such. The fatherhood of God was established. But, this mother worship persisted simultaneously, because psychologically, this concept is more appealing to the devotee, the mother being nearest in filial affection to the child. So subsequently, a synthetic harmony between the motherhood and fatherhood of God was developed by Sanatana Dharma. So the people started to worship Sita and Rama, and they're still worshipping. Then Radha Krishna, then Shiva Parvati. So this is the next slide, and this is what have been also discussed. I discussed about Ardhanārīśvara in Germany over our first workshop of Devimähätmyam, and Sandhya also mentioned this half female, half man God. So Ardha means half, Nari, female, and Ishvara, the God man, right? So we can, call it also Shiva Shakti. But you know, when we look at this picture, we can clearly see the half of the body of Shiva and the other half of the mother. But is it really Shiva that we are referring as Shiva Shakti? Or it is something beyond? So let us just try not to look at this picture of Shiva and half Shakti. Let us go beyond this, this picture we see in front of us. So let us speak about the Shiva Tattvam as the primordial power, as the essence of the Shiva. So this Shiva as the essence separated its power to create, and thus Shakti Parameshwari came into being. So if the Shiva, the essence of Shiva is that primordial power, then the Shakti Parameshwari is this very same power in motion. And then, you know, in turn, Parameshwari, who is the mother of all, she created Shiva, as we know him as the Lord Shankara or Mahadev. She created Vishnu and Brahma. So she is this creative power behind the Trinity and also their consorts, Parvati, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. So Brahma designed the universe and he laid down the rules for everything, including time and space. Before time and space didn't exist, right? So there is a certain knowledge associated with Brahma. And that's why Saraswati, as the consort of Brahma, symbolizes all the knowledge of the world. Vishnu created Maya or illusion so that the creation has a goal to achieve. And this goal is of surpassing this illusion and to realize divinity. So Lakshmi here represents Maya, Vishnu Maya. She confers the worldly riches and things which only thicken the illusion and making it hard for us, you know, to overcome it. And then Shiva and Shakti, Shiva and Parvati are the actual parents to all of the creation. Shakti feeds and cares, and Shiva protects and disciplines. But above all, that Shiva Tattvam and Parameshwari are the true essence beyond everything that is created, right? So I will just would like to quote Swami Shivananda Saraswati. So Swami said, without Durga, Shiva has no expression. Without Shiva, Durga has no existence. Shiva is the soul of Durga. Durga is identical with Shiva. Lord Shiva is the only silent witness. He is motionless, absolutely changeless. He is not affected by the cosmic play. It is Durga who does everything. So, my dear brothers and sisters, who we truly are. I would say that in each and every one of us, there is a mother heart which beats deep within. And it is only through her grace that actually we can attain and we can actually merge with the primordial power of Shiva Tatman. So you can freely, you know, here replace, you can replace Shiva with Parabrahman, with Paramatman. You can replace Durga with Parvati, with Lakshmi. So all is the same. And now I think it's very important for us to, I mean, it's very important, right, to understand that all around us is Shakti creation, right? I have been listening to the talks of Swami on the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And Swami said that actually Bhagavad Gita is describing this saguna, so saguna qualities. So, and that this worship of the God with the properties is much easier than the nirguna part. So why is that? Because everything is in duality, everything around us. So there is, night and day, there is black and white, there is female and male. So it is easier for us to look at this picture in front of us, to look at these attributes that this God is holding in their hands, to understand that these are desirable attributes we should attain in our life, or those of some of those weapons are actually destroying our bad tendencies. And then when we have something to hold on to, the next stage is really to go beyond, as we did now, right? We are discussing about Shiva Tattvam and Shakti Parameshwari, but this is the latest stage of letting everything go and to see things as they are, without form, without expression, or beyond all of that. So, what is the longing for freedom? So, as I said, the goal of creation is surpassing of the illusion or Vishnu Maya and realizing divinity, right? And this realizing of divinity is actually liberation for every soul. And in this longing for freedom, this longing for freedom is actually enrooted deeply in every human desire. But when we are not aware of it, we are expressing all our sensory, mental, intellectual, or social desires outwardly through the operations of the mind and the activities of the senses. So all the life, all the impulses, I remember myself when I was studying medicine, and my wife knows how difficult it was for me to cope with certain facts about the medicine, with certain uh, concepts, right? Because and then what we did, we just went, we just to step away, we just we were trying to find some different reality, and we were actually letting our desires grow in this outwardly expression, right? So I was not so good boy before. So I have quite some past of because I was I knew that something bigger is behind everything, but I didn't know what it was. So I was acting like the I don't know, uh, average human being, right? When I was in the teenage years, or when I was actually being on my faculty. But our true journey starts when we discover that this is not actually outward expression we seek for, but we started to feel this inward urge, and actually it came accidentally, we may say, in our life. We came across to a guru, or we came across to some difficult situation in our life, and then everything changes, and then we start to discover, we start to learn, we start to read, and then we start to act accordingly. So Devimähätmyam actually describes the epic of the march of the soul to its destination, which is the realization of the freedom. This is what Swami Krishnananda said. It beautifully, so epic of the march, right? And actually this aspiration for liberation is not merely the longing of the human being, but it is of all that is created anywhere on earth or in heaven, whether it is the plant or the animal, whether it is a man or a celestial being, the aspiration is the same. So all the longings can be boiled down into this quintessence of the longing for liberation, right? So this march of the soul is dramatic, right? And in Devimähätmyam, it is beautifully described. It is sonorous musical advent. And you know, when we just look at the other culture, when we read the epics in other culture, we can really find the connection with this particular character of grandeur, of uplifting the emotions, chastening the intellect. Yeah. So just a couple of points here about Devimähätmyam before I'm going to go through the 3 steps of Devimähätmyam. So Devimähätmyam is the part of Markandeya Purana, containing 13 chapters, and those chapters are divided into 3 sections. So the first section is actually chapter 1, the mid section is chapter 2 to 4, and the last section is chapter 5 to 13. So the march of the soul is graduated into those 3 major steps, representing threefold transformations of the spiritual being. And Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati are 3 presiding forces, representatives of the powers of the spirit within. And those forces are manifesting themselves. So you can call it, you know, an inward, you know, travel, or you can call it an upward ascent towards the freedom ultimate, as you wish, but it's pretty much the same. So that in this march of the soul to its freedom, those 3 presiding forces carries with it everything that is connected with this march. So now I will just try to open one very important subject. I will actually speak about the 4 stages of relationship. And I will ask in a couple of minutes all of you, I mean some of you who would like to share, because this is now a very important part. So those presiding forces are actually, as I said, they are carrying everything which is connected with us. So, you know, so what is actually the difference between the spiritual march or spiritual walk and the difference between the, you know, just, you know, walking on the road? So when we walk or march on the roadway, we alone walk. Nobody need to accompany us. Nothing need to be connected with us. So we can have our free walk independently, right? But in the spiritual march, it is not such an isolated march because we carry with us everything that is connected with us. Now, what are those things that are connected and that we carry? So the first stage of relationship is a conscious stage. So this is typical 3D stage. You know, we have connections and relationship within our families, at work, even at this group, at this really, you know, superficial level. But then there is subconsciously also a connection, but this connection is in another manner, right? Subconsciously, our relationships are of a different kind, and they may not correspond with our conscious relationship, right? So if we go still deeper, we have a layer where our relationship is more akin to a unity of life than to diversity of personality. And this is what we have been experiencing in this group, right? And there is the ultimate fourth stage, which is, I would say, still for us beyond any description. Julius did a beautiful oneness meditation yesterday, and not only yesterday. And this is just to get a glimpse, just to prepare ourselves to this ultimate experience, which is beyond words. So the oneness is the fourth stage of relationship, right? And this is actually the goal towards which the soul is marching. So in description of Devimähätmyam, we are carried forward psychologically and spiritually to this destination of ultimate realization of divinity. So I would say that at this particular moment in our lives, we come together within this group. Maybe not all are present who are actually belonging to this group, but I would say that not only I feel like for myself that this is not only combination of this life, you know, urge of realizing and you know, merging with this source, but it is actually the culmination of all my previous lives. Because what I have been able now to see is that I cannot hide, I cannot run away, I cannot suppress my emotions. So everything is like an open book, right? And you know, we are also reflecting this, and you know, in other people as well. And then these are not only tendencies of our mind; these are also tendencies of the heart. I remember my first interview with Swami when he brought up the most hidden secret of mine, just like that. And I was so surprised because, you know, he was able to make me realize of this secret, which I have not considered as such, because it was deeply enrooted in my being. So I was unaware of it. So I see that on, I mean, Julius and Sandhya and others knows better about these ascension symptoms, but you know, this is the time when everything comes up, just for us to acknowledge, to be aware of, and to transmute everything. And we are doing it together. So all the things are happening simultaneously together to all of us. And this is good, actually, you know. This is good for us to be aware of, you know, what is wrong, of what is good, of what need to be, you know, hold on to, or of what we really need to actually transmute and abandon at the end, right? So I would just like to ask Brother Chulan, you know, for to park here, you know, to open floor for sharing insights. And I would like to ask you guys, does this make sense? I mean, how do you find this? We haven't even touched, you know, the Devimähätmyam, you know, the essence, but how do you find this up to now? And do you have any comments about what you have heard so far?
Saram Branamir, the participants are able to unmute themselves and speak. This has been an amazing presentation. Okay. I am gripped by what I hear, and every word you speak is, you know, has such gravity to it. Thank you so much. And anyone who wants to share or ask questions is free to do so. You can unmute and ask, Sairam.
Wow, no one.
Dr. Branimir, it has been
Yes.
so uplifting. You know, the opening itself, if it is like this, it cannot conclude in just one talk. We should have a series of talks because the subject is heavy. And yeah, with one, I'm sure you will not be able to do justice to enlighten all of us. But the opening is absolutely brilliant. Love you so much.
Thank you, Āvarana. Thank you very much. Any other sharings, thoughts, comments?
Brother Pranvir, this is Jayashree, Sairam.
Hey, Sairam, Jayashree.
I'm just, I don't know, I'm lost for words. And you should do it, as Brother Ranga says, more often, to just bring the awareness so that they are interested to learn Devimähätmyam. It's very important, the awareness and understanding, and you seem to have much more clarity than most of us. I would request thoroughly, and I'm very, I show my gratitude. Please do this more often in every group. And that way, people are aware. That way we are exposing what is available. Most of the people do not know what this Akhanda Rudra Parayanam is offering. It's not just the Rudra Parayanam, but we have multiple things that are being offered. I would request everybody to say these things in every station so that the rest of the people who just come and do the Parayan and go off are also aware of the other beautiful things that they can gain from before the August 2nd. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Sister Jayashree. Okay, so I can move forward, and then at the end we can also share some thoughts as well. So let us actually, yes, yeah.
This is Madhuri Heather from Oregon.
Hi,
I wanted to share that I appreciated your story about your time with your Baba and him revealing some unconscious secret inside you, and the approach of Devimähätmyam in my life has been very much like that. I'm very new to it, but it already feels like the enemy is my own unconsciousness and these tendencies that maybe I've had for lifetimes, and that she's revealing them to me and helping me, wield my axe and my mace and destroy those tendencies that take me away from that my path, my march to the ultimate freedom. So that's what I wanted to share.
Yes.
So thank you for being part of my educational team and such an inspiration. Thank you.
Sairam, brother.
And now actually we are Sairam.
Sairam, sorry to disturb you. I just wanted to share, my name is Rani. I really like the way you presented the spiritual walk, starting with a regular walk. And how you said it's like a walk, but you have these things going along with you. So it made me really feel that spiritual walk is so approachable. It's not something we think, oh, it's spirituality, this and that, but you brought down that spiritual walk to our reach, is what I felt. So that gives me a good beginning and the confidence to move forward. So I really thank you for that. God bless you. I love that analogy, and that's going to stick to me.
Yeah, actually, it's not my analogy. It is the analogy of Swami Krishnananda. I mean, of course, I share things which are resonating with me, right? Because this is how I do things. I would never like to do something or share something, especially to this group, which is not resonating to me. And I would just like to point out that we are all standing on the shoulders of giants and walking on those shoulders, right? And those giants are those sages and saints who paved the path to all of us to self-realization. So, nothing belongs here to me, and I have actually structured this presentation. I mean, some big part of it from one discourse of Swami Krishnananda, because it really resonates with me. And I will also come back to all those points that you have mentioned, both, and we now will try to structure all, connected with Devimähätmyam and our spiritual march. Okay, just I need to, okay, so, yes, so the first step is what we have covered in our workshop recently in Germany. when Adi Shakti awakes Mahavishnu, who was asleep, and so that he may destroy and overcome the original demonical forces, Madhu and Kaitava, so the first two demons. Then the second step, or let's say the second stage, is when Shakti manifests herself as Mahalakshmi and overcomes Mahishasura and Raktabija. It is 2 to 4 chapter, right? And then the last one is when Shumbha and Nishumbha are destroyed by Mahasaraswati. So each stage is adored in 3 days of worship during Navaratri. And the final victory is called Vijayadashami. So the 10th day, when we, master the forces of nature completely and we reached our goal, right? So we actually adore in the first 3 days Mahakali, and in the next 3 days Mahalakshmi, and then Mahasaraswati. So just about number 9, what Swami Krishnananda said, he said all the arithmetic is within 9 numbers only. So the whole cosmos is within 9. But when you transcend the 9, you have gone to infinity, which is beyond cosmic relationship. Right? This is beautiful. So when you reach number 10, you reach this stage of oneness, which is beyond description. Okay, so let us actually deep dive into each and every step. So the first step is overcoming the mala. So the mala is dirt. And in Ayurveda, I don't know if there is some Ayurvedic doctor here on the call. In Latin, we call it excreta. So these are urine, feces, sweat, etc. Right? And in this, we actually are referring mala to dirt. And these dirt are the lowest powers of nature, because it is said that Madhu and Kaitava are, they came out of the dirt of the ear of Vishnu. From the point of view of the seeking soul, this dirt is in the form of Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. So, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, lust, this is the desire, then it is the anger, and then it is the greed. And I have now put this quote from Bhagavad Gita, which said, Tri Vidham, which means the 3 type of gates leading to the hell, Narakasyedam, of self-destruction of the soul, which is Nashanam Atmana, namely the lust, anger, and greed. Therefore, all should abandon these 3. So why those 3 are regarded as dirt? Because they cover the consciousness in such a way that the consciousness appears to be not at all here, right? So I would just like to share one beautiful story, because the chapter 1 is actually speaking about Kama, Krodha, and Lobha, right? And actually this Madhu is connected with Kama, Kaitaba, with Krodha, but actually all of these 6 internal enemies are enrooted into Madhu and Kaitaba. So we actually had this first workshop on chapter 1 and 2 in Germany, and just a couple of days before the trip, my dear friend Davor, said to me that he would not be able to come along, and actually, he should have delivered the meaning of those 2 chapters. And then I was really, puzzled and confused, because I was, in the past couple of months, I was focused only to chanting, right? I was focused because I have, firstly, I was being engaged to learn myself and then to teach others at the same time. So I was really puzzled, how can we cover this translation part, right? And I was praying to Swami to guide me, So how should I start? And then one day before the trip, before the workshop, we were at a sightseeing of Leipzig, and we entered this church of Saint Nicholas, and you can see down there, Freitags 12 Uhr, meaning the prayers which are going on only on Friday at 12. And actually, we entered this church. It was just 2 minutes before 12. We sat down in the on the benches, and there was a lady who distributed these flyers. And look what we actually got in our hands. The hatred which divides the nation from nation, race from race, class from class, Father, forgive. The covetous desires of people and nations to possess what is not their own, Father, forgive. The greed which exploits the work of human hands and lays waste the earth, Father, forgive. Our envy of the welfare and happiness of others, Father, forgive. Our indifference to the plight of the imprisoned, homeless, and the refugee, Father, forgive. The lust which dishonors the bodies of men, women, and children, Father, forgive. The pride which leads us to trust in others and not in God, Father, forgive. So by some miracle, all those 6 internal enemies are described, plus this one of indifference. This is not actually described in our teachings, but I mean, this was truly amazing. And by that, I actually knew what is the essence of not only the first chapter, but the essence of the full Devimähätmyam in this particular sense. So actually, I started the workshop with reading all of this and actually contemplating on this. This was really a true miracle. And actually, you wouldn't believe, on the second page of this, it was oh my God, my brain just stopped working. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Asatoma Sadgamaya prayer. It was described in English as well in the second page. So this is unbelievable. So just before I go to, I put here, karma yoga, just for you to understand. So this overcoming of the mala or dirt is only by doing the karma yoga, meaning the selfless service, meaning the nishkama karma, right? Because this first step and this dirt is connected with tamas, and the cure for the tamas is action, activity through karma yoga. So we need to rub off all of this dirt with great effort. So then when this mala or dirt is removed, we get into another trouble because those are not only the only enemies, these 6 ones, right? In the broader sense, there are more subtle ones, more terrifying than these visible ones. Okay, so when we manage to somehow overcome Madhu and Kaitavha, so Kama and Krodha, we get into the clutches of Mahishasura and Raktabija. So Mahishasura and Raktabija, they represent the Vikshepa Shakti, so-called Vikshepa Shakti. So Vikshepa Shakti is tossing or distracting of the mind. So guys, somebody is playing with annotating. If those one who can, or maybe I can stop sharing and share again if you cannot undo this red line which is showing on my screen.
I'm not able to undo it. I can see it, Brother Mir. I can't undo it. If you can share again, it would be good. Okay. And you can disable participant annotations as well.
Okay. Okay, I'm sharing again. Okay. So Vikshepa Chitta is actually distracted mind, right? So every minute our mind changes its forms with, which multiply in millions. So we can read in Devimähätmyam how Mahishasura changed his form. At certain point, he is an elephant, then buffalo, and then something else. So if you hit him in one form, he would come in another form. And this is actually the exhaustible opponent. His energies are incapable of being exhausted, right? So however much you may try to oppose the Vikshepa Shakti, it will manifest in some form or the other. And this is actually described in the form of the demon Raktabija, whose drops of blood were seeds of hundreds and thousands of demons like himself coming up. You know, when Devi cut off the head of one Rakshasa, then from this blood, which fell on the ground, you know, millions others cropped up. And then, you know, when she killed them again, and then another million cropped up, you know. So this is like a futile fight. And it means that the significance of this is if you would cut off one or two desires, the desire is not over. The root is still there. The branches are only cut off. So unless the root is dug out, there is no use of merely just, you know, chopping out of the branches, you know, of the tree. So what did the Devi do? She asked Kali to spread her tongue throughout the earth so that there is no ground at all for the Rakshasas to walk over. So they had to walk over the tongue of Kali. So you can imagine how huge this tongue was. And actually this is, you know, this fearful, you know, picture of Mother Kali with tongue sticking out. This is this symbolism. And now actually when goddess started cutting their heads, of the heads of the demons, and when the blood fell, it fell not on the ground, but on the tongue of Kali. So she sucked everything. Chariots, horses, demons, everybody entered her mouth. She chewed all chariots into powder. Likewise, we have to adopt a technique of disrooting or sucking the very root of desire, not merely by, you know, chopping off the branches, because, you know, otherwise desires will take various other forms like Mahishasura, right? So their very essence has to be dig out. You know, when at the beginning I said that our desires are expressing outwardly, but actually desire is not an outward form or an action. It is outward only because only when actually we don't know how to transmute them and what is actually the real source of desires. So we are actually letting those desires making manifest outwardly in the form of an action. So desire is actually a tendency within. So we may do nothing, but yet we may have desires. Because desire is not necessarily an activity. Desireful person need not be very active. He can, you know, he can sit quietly, doing nothing, saying nothing, but yet still be full of desires. Because it is a tendency of the mind, an inclination of consciousness that we call a desire. So this is actually the Vikshepa Shakti distracting and tossing of the mind which attacks us, right? So to summarize, Mala and Vikshepa are the primary oppositions in our spiritual pursuit. Okay, so I said that actually Mala can be removed by Karma Yoga, and Vikshepa I put here. Vikshepa can be destroyed by Upasana, and Upasana actually means worshipping of God. So this is this contemplation, this is this meditation when we stabilize the tossing or distraction of the mind. So this is the cure of the second stage of overcoming Vikshepa Shakti. Then let us discover the last step, the third step, which is actually overcoming the Āvarana. Āvarana refers, so Āvarana is a Buddhist term. Maybe Brother Julius is more aware of it. Āvarana refers to two obstructions as defined in the Dharma Samgraha, which is actually collection of merit. And actually, this let's say third trouble is oblivion of consciousness. In other words, we are unconscious of consciousness. We have no knowledge of anything as to what is happening. Ajnana or ignorance is a subtler opposing power than its effects in the form of mala and vikshepa, even more subtler, right? So distraction and direct sensual desires are the outer expressions of a subtle ignorance of truth, of avidya or ajnana, right? So when the Atman is covered by ignorance of its nature, then these, let's call it winds of desire begin to blow, and they come like the violent storm. We cannot stand against it because the whole of nature gets concentrated in a desire. And that is why it is, uncontrollable. So now this is a very important part for us to understand. All the powers of nature get focused in a desire when it manifests, whatever be the desire. So the whole of nature has to be subdued. We are not to subdue only our individual nature, but the cosmic nature itself is to be subdued. This is what is depicted in the epic of Devimähätmyam. So it is the overcoming or let's say transformation of the cosmic nature in the form of tamas, rajas, and sattva. So the first step is mala representing tamas. The second step is rajas. And then this third step, this avidya or ajnana, is actually sattva. Well, sattva is a guna as well, unfortunately. So we always praise sattva, and we regard sattva as a very desirable thing, right? There is a beautiful, beautiful picture given by Swami Krishnananda. So he said that sattva is like a transparent glass that is placed between us and the truth. So you can see through it, but you cannot go beyond. Because though the glass is transparent, it can obstruct our movement. It is not like a brick wall, so, completely preventing our vision, as tamas does. It is not like the blowing wind of, tossing the minds of desires, as rajas does. It is a plain glass through which you can have the vision of reality, but you cannot contact this reality nevertheless. So how can you contact a thing when there is a glass between you and the thing? Swami said, right? So this sattva, even as the part of the three guna, should, behave as an obstacle, because this avarana means the obstacle, the obstruction, right? Though it is, of course, better than the other two forces of nature. So I will just show you that these last two demons, Shumbha and Nishumbha, are actually representing these two aspects of sattva. One is the satisfaction with what has been achieved, and the other one is an ignorance of what is beyond. And these are the qualities of this sattvic nature. So we are satisfied. Yeah, okay, we are progressing. We see things. Yeah, it's good. I'm good. I'm doing well, right? And then we stop. And Brother Julius yesterday said a beautiful sentence, which I remembered. He said that you can go along this path unconsciously, but only until the certain point, right? Only until the certain point, because at this point, and this is exactly what Devimähätmyam is describing through this overcoming the Āvarana, we need to become aware. We need to actually look what is beyond, and we need to actually imply these vijñana teachings. And when I spoke about the giants who walk this earth, we really should be eternally thankful for them, because in this dual nature, in this saguna nature, they put on this road of self-realization, they put like a traffic symbols, or I don't know how you call it in English, which are actually showing us direction. They put, you know, a lamp which is actually shedding light on our path. But just until we are able to see that road by ourselves, to see the road as it is. And this is the most difficult step for us to actually overcome. I mean, I'm saying, because what I'm saying here, it's not me truly. I mean, personally, I'm just, you know, I'm 1 to 3, 3 to 1, you know, so I'm just fluctuating between all those 3 steps. So I'm just trying to explain what those beautiful souls before us, you know, just, you know, left as a legacy for us to follow. Okay. And then, you know, coming back to the first part and speaking about the prakriti and the 3 gunas. So we are not individual pedestrians on the path. So there is no individual movement there. It is all a total movement of everything connected with us. And, you know, no item in the world is really disconnected from us. So for example, there is a beautiful example also given. So when you have a cloth, and every thread in the cloth is connected with every other thread. So when you lift to one single thread of a cloth, the whole cloth comes up, right? Because of these interconnections of the warp and the woof of the cloth. So it is the same with our internal interconnections of beings, so with other beings, with the nature, which actually prevents any kind of individual efforts for the sake of salvation. And now we need to really understand this. It's not easy to understand. I have, you know, I was really, you know, contemplating on it. I will just say it. That is why salvation is universal. It is not individual. When you attain to the supreme being, you become the universal being. So we don't go, you know, individually as Branimir, Julius, Saha, Vlatka. The path of sadhana also is a cosmic effort of the soul. So it's not a small, simple, like private effort in the closet of our you know, puja room, but it is a dynamic activity of our essential personality, which is internally connected by manifold, by these unforeseen relationships with everything in the cosmos. So when we as a group, and we do here as a group the same, so when we enter the path of the spirit, we have also at the same time entering the path of the cosmic relationship. So Swami is describing a sadhaka as a cosmic person. A spiritual seeker or an aspirant is a representative of the cosmic situation. He is not an individual, though he may look like a person. And his sadhana is also not an individual effort. It's much more than what it appears to be on the surface. It is like in, you know, it is like a conversation between Nara and Narayana. So you and your God are face to face with each other. So in sadhana, in spiritual effort, we are, you know, face to face with the maker, with our God. And the face of the maker is universal, right? So he is not hiding only in one spot or you know, he's not, you know, to be found in certain places, you know. So the dance of the cosmic spirit is so beautifully described in this resonant songs of Devimähätmyam, where we are giving a steering account, a stimulating description of what Mahakali did in the first chapter, what Mahalakshmi did in the chapter 2 to 4, and what Mahal Saraswati did in bringing about this evolution, transformation of the whole range of Prakriti, from Tamas to Rajas, from Rajas to Sattva, and ultimately from Sattva to Supreme Vijaya, to the mastery of the Absolute, right? So I don't know. I hope that you can follow. We can stop, but I'm really close to finish. I just would like to say that it's I mean, it's not only Devimähätmyam. I believe that in all epics and Puranas, this significance is brought out, right? And it is always the song of the soul. So Bhagavad Gita is nothing but the song of the soul, right? So when the oversoul speaking to the lower soul, right? So the spiritual practice of sadhaka is confronting of the three forces of tamas, rajas, and sattva, gradually, stage by stage, in their cosmic significance, forgetting not for a moment, and this is what we also are, I think, very well aware of now, that we are not an island. You know this saying. I think it was mentioned over our satsangs already. So no man is an island. That means that we are not surrounded simply by oceans and cut off from things. We are connected with everything, and this is the significance we have to actually pursue, and we have to practice in our lives. And when we learn to see this significance of the presence of divinity, of this universality of God, even in our private actions, we are actually taken care of by all those universal powers. We don't need to bother of our smallest problem in our life, because we will be provided with everything, right? And one more thing is also important, that there is no such thing as a little action in the world. Everything is important. Even the most insignificant event or deed or gesture is an important event ultimately, because what is hidden behind is the ocean, and we are the drops in the same ocean, in this interconnected web, right? So this actually is very important for us to understand. So Swami Shivananda said that the God realization is our goal in life, right? And he has been reiterating the same message all and over again. And we can face obstacles on our path, and we might lost our way in the craziness of life, and yet we can remain confident at the same time, because we know that the warmth, the light of this spiritual sun is always energizing ourselves, and that we are never ever at any time, at any moment, if we might think for ourselves that we are not practicing enough, but we are never completely cut off from that source of energy. So to conclude, through the worship of Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati, we worship actually this Mula Prakriti, Adishakti, in her cosmic dance form of transformation, prosperity, and illumination. In the beginning, we came to realize that, yes, okay, I need self-transformation, because, this is the goal of my life, and I will pursue it, right? And then we start with, the step one, hardships, rubbing and cleaning and washing and sweeping, cleaning the dirt. That is the first stage, through the worship of Mahakali, who brings about a destruction of all the barriers. And then what happens? Then there is a tremendous prosperity. We become a master, and the progressive soul actually, and we are actually able to command all powers, getting everything we want. So this is the second stage. So nobody is as rich as Yogi, right? He can command all the powers. By a thought, by a simple thought, he can invoke all things. And this is goddess Mahalakshmi working in this second stage, right? So when Mahakali has finished her work of destruction of opposition of the lowest nature, Mahalakshmi comes as prosperity. Okay, so actually in this second stage, everything looks like a heaven, you know. But this also is not sufficient, because ultimately the knowledge should dawn. So it's because, you know, it's not the heaven that we are seeking for, right? We want the realization of that truth. And then comes Mahasaraswati for help, and she flood the light of truth. You know, she's throwing this light, and actually we starting to see the things as they are. So it is the truth, unconnected with ourselves in the beginning, but later it is inseparable from ourselves. So from opposition to prosperity, from prosperity to enlightenment, and from enlightenment to self-realization, we are proceeding. So these are the truths esoterically conveyed by Swami Krishnananda, Swami Shivananda, then one another Nanda, I cannot remember now. And I have actually compiled all of this here. So to just summarize, the action as the medicine for tamas. So karma yoga in step 1, contemplation, vikshepa shakti, overcoming, right? So the tossing of the minds, this is the cure. So this is the rajas. And then we have the knowledge. And with that knowledge, with vijñana, we are overcoming the last guna, which is so appealing to us, sattva guna. Okay, so now just give me 5 more minutes. I will just try to explain. Yeah, I will try to explain this cryptography of bijaksharas, of the seed mantras in Devimähätmyam. This is a superpower that our rishis, you know, had. And they were capable to really hide all the secrets, you know, in some, you know, Puranic texts, which we, you know, if we would read it as superficial, that, you know, it would be like Mahabharata and all the other texts, you know, just experienced from this more superior level of consciousness. But there are, of course, much more deep. So each verse of Devimähätmyam is encrypted in this secretly encoding and hiding the seed mantras. And it is said that no other Purana has such a specialty hidden within. So you remember, I will just share here the first, okay, so it is Markandeya Vacha, and then this is the second shloka, the first line. Savarani Surya Tanayo Yo Manuh Katyate Shtamaha. And then for that first line, we have this translation, my God, you know. Savarni, who is the son of Savarna, the shadow Chaya, so the son of the Savarna and Surya, that one who is called the Manu, progenitor of the human race during one Manvantara, I'll tell you at length about his making. You know, trust me, when I read this for the first time, and then you know, when I read the rest of the chapter, and then chapter after chapter, I was thinking to myself, my God, I mean, why this Markandeya You know, is he starting? Why is he saying that he will now, you know, tell the story of the Manu of Savarni, and then, you know, he just started elaborating and narrating the story of a Devi, right? So something was not right until I actually found this description. So let us. So this is actually a classical example of this of Rishi's cryptography. So let us decode it together. So Savarni. You know, when we say Sai Baba, we have been taught that Sa represent mother and Baba is the father, right? So this is the same analogy. Sa is Brahman as the mother goddess, and Varna. So Varna can mean various things. So Varna can mean the color and can mean the caste, you know, the Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, right? So the caste in the system. But also, you remember when actually I have the lesson on phonology, we actually described by the Varna the letter or sound of the Sanskrit alphabet, right? So Sa denotes the Supreme Brahman. And what is the Varna? So what is the letter, the sound that is used to refer to Brahman as Mother Goddess in the Vedic corpus? It is Im or Anusvara. So the first word Savarni means Anusvara. Then we have Surya Tanaya. Surya Tanaya means literally the son of Surya. I put in the brackets Agni because Agni and Surya are of one and the same essence, right? So this is the essence of fire and heat. So Agni is the essence that is spoken about here as the son of Surya. And we know that Bijakshara of Agni is Ram. Then we get this second Bijakshara, which is Ra. And then the most interesting part is Tanaya Ashtama Manuhu. So in Sanskrit, Manu does not mean only the progenitor of the human race, right? But Manu means the mantra. Here, the code is to find the 8th letter from Ya. Ashtama means 8. And you see, I have marked this. I don't know if you see my cursor, my mouse pointing out. I have put in bold, Tanaya. Tanaya Ashtama. So the 8th letter from Ya in the Sanskrit alphabet. So when we count Ya, Ra, La, Va, Sha, Sha, Sa, Ha. So it is the Ha. So now we have Im, we have Anusvara, we have Ra, and we have Ha. So when we actually string all those codes together, it gives us Imra Ha, right? But there is a Anya, it is called Anyaya Sutra, which is saying that we need to read such codes in reverse order, right? So we need to read it in reverse order, and we get Haraim. And when we actually connect this Haraim, we get this Hrim. Hrim as the Bijakshari mantra of goddess. And now we can replace the first line only with the word Hrim. And the second line is just saying that, yes, now I shall describe to you the glory of Hrim. I mean, beautiful, right? And in this way, all the 700 verses of Devimähätmyam can be decoded. And you know, it's very difficult to find these decodings. But I would really like to delve more into that. But I doubt it that all those codes are known to humanity as of now, right? And just one last thing, one last slide regarding our event, which we are hopefully going to have in Croatia next year. This is the program, Ati Rudram and Double Sahasra Chandi. If with God's grace, we would maybe have triple Sahasra Chandi in 2021 in Croatia with the Veda Union and the GRD IRS Gurukul team. So you see, this is the 8 days of programs. It's a very dense program. But this would be really for the first time that in the world, we would have, you know, this event. Because, you know, either you are Shaivist or you are Shakta. But to have Shiva Shakti Maha Yajna and to have Ati Rudra Maha Yajna and double or maybe triple Sahasra Chandi, guys, this has never happened in the history. So let us build this history together. And I will just show you a couple of pictures. You see, this letter was placed here in this table. This is the Sai Gitanjali Center in Bangalore. And then after 15 minutes, you know, we just I went with oh my God, I forgot his name now.
Sai Vinod.
Doesn't matter, you know.
Sai Vinod.
Sai Vinod, yes. Yes, I went with him in his office, and then, you know, he was inquiring, so what is the content of this letter, etc., etc. So I have explained, and I brought some presents for her daughter who just got married, and he said, Branimir, can we just place this bag too in this Swami's room? I said, okay, why not? So we went up, and this room was locked, you know, for these 15 minutes, and he's the only one who has the keys of this room. And then when we came back after 15 minutes, there was a vibhuti materialization of this letter, and it was actually a lingam materialized here, like that. You see, it's I mean, quite amazing, just in a 15 minutes of time. And this is me totally, you know, taken away, soaked in emotions, of course. And this is the lingam. And with that, I think, so this happened in November 26th, 2019. And then afterwards, I joined Ama Shri Karunamai for her trip, temple tour. And it was beginning of August, or I don't know which date exactly. I got an interview, and I showed her this very particular letter, and I left this letter. And you know, she said, I will come 99% to this event. So let us pray now. When we understand the inner meaning of I mean, the essence, I would not say the inner meaning, because the inner meaning, so we just decoded just one verse of one shloka, right? So but at least we know the essence, and now we can actually match our progress, and we can be, you know, we can actually refer to Devimähätmyam along with our studies. And I think that now we know much better what is ahead of us, and how important is that we bring the Devi consciousness into, you know, into existence through our you know, chantings, gatherings, and eventually through this beautiful program, which hopefully will, I mean, I'm not, you know, it will happen for sure, but I leave it to Shiva Shakti to decide. So guys, Sairam, this was everything from my side. If you would like to ask questions, or if you would have something to share, please do so, Sairam.
I may have a thought.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was thinking the role of celebration. Each one of the successes in Devimähätmyam is celebrated, and actually we are put into shame if we celebrate things which is plainly wrong. It is false modesty, and it is actually not modest at all. And we should not be put to shame if we celebrate. I think it is an antidote to indifference that you mentioned before, and it is the only way to put achievements behind us properly. When you achieve something and it lingers on for some more time, you cannot let it go. And if you celebrate it, then you can let it go and do some more. My thought.
Okay, thank you for your thoughts. Gita?
Branimir, this is Gita. I'm actually, I'm really speechless. That was so amazing. I mean, so amazing. I have a couple of things that came to mind. As you may know, Amma Karunamai has now started giving live talks from India on Saturdays and Sundays. And last Sunday, she spoke to the New York group, and she talked about Dakshinamurti Stotram, where this Āvarana was mentioned. And also, you know, this first line that you mentioned, I mean, there's so many things. This first line that you talked about, Devimähätmyam, it echoes, okay, so Dakshinamurti Stotram was written by Adi Shankaracharya, and Amma said that he taught in silence. And can you imagine all the famous rishis that we know who were learned and old, and he was young, but he taught them in silence. They communed with him, and that's what we know today, you know. And she believes that in the end, silence is what will take us. And she of course repeats over and over again that the only reason for being on this earth as a human being is to achieve moksha. So anyway, one of the things in that stotram talks about, I guess Davor will know this, in astrology, there's Rahu and Ketu, and they have this eclipse of the sun. And that Maya is like that the sun is very, very bright, but that Rahu and Ketu in certain, you know, sometimes eclipse it. And she mentioned Mahalakshmi as being Maya, and then she talked about how we can try to get beyond this Maya, you know, the different parts that are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, of course, devotion, etc. But in the end, I mean, she always promotes meditation. So chanting and meditation as the only way for us to remove this Maya that is there. But I think your talk was absolutely amazing. I've taken notes, and I really have to go back over them. I hope you make the recording available so we can really contemplate every single word. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gita. Julius, you were unmuted as well.
Sairam, yes, thank you so much for bringing Devi Ma to us into the station. It is really incredible because every word that is said is actually invocation. And because energetically we are, you know, as monad, we are quite strong. And as you speak, it is invoked. And it's really beautiful how it's manifesting entirely, even the cosmos as you speak. So really, thank you so much for conducting this session.
Sairam, thank you, brother.
Sairam, Brother Julius, I just wanted to say one thing, Jai Shri here. More and more people are coming to know about what we have been chanting since the beginning of April. And many are not aware of so many things that you have arranged, multiple things like Adiparashakti and this Devimähätmyam, and so many things, especially the quantum ascension. Is it okay if I just make a brief of all of the things that we are doing and let people know about it? Because a lot of people are showing interest, but they're not aware that what is happening here.
Sure, sister, you can go ahead.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Brother Branimir, that was incredible. You know, nobody can give such a brief capsule of the 700 verses. It's really, really, you know, so brilliant. How by chanting or studying the Devimähätmyam, the abstract in us will get dissolved. Yeah, the secret you have revealed. Thank you so much. We, on behalf, you know, all my, I think, brothers and sisters they echo the same feelings. Thank you for such a wonderful enlightenment. 700 verses you captured so beautifully. Bless you, Branimir. You're awesome.
Thank you. It's not me, but okay. I mean, thanks to Swami and thanks to all who actually, as I said, pave the path for all of us.
Thank you so much, brother.
Hey, Shanti.
Thank you, brother. It is wonderful presentation and the explanation you gave. It is really very nice. Thank you so much. Jai Sai Ram.
Jai Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. We have come close to the end of the session because we've got to hand over to Adi Parashakti. This has been an amazing sharing. You know, it has been so intense and palpable from the very beginning. If there's anyone who'd like to share something before we hand over, please do so. Saram Branamir, would you like to have a few closing words and then we can hand over to Adi Parashakti? Thank you so much, Branamir. That was an amazing talk.
Yeah, okay, guys, thank you all for actually being here and listening. And I just hope that that certain things are much clearer now. And you know, as I said, vijñana is the ultimate stage of being aware of what we do, right? So these will serve as the reminders on our group aspiration towards self-realization. Sai Ram, and thank you once again.